Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into a really incredible explainer covering a case study that frankly blew my mind. We're going to look at how an absolute giant in the tech space, PayPal, completely conquered the massive, often, headache inducing challenge of API distribution. If you've ever found yourself wondering how these mega platforms actually get developers to adopt their tools at scale, you are definitely in the right place. So let's jump right in.
100,000. In the world of B2B tech and enterprise software, hitting 100,000 of literally anything is a massive milestone. But we aren't talking about something simple like page views or casual clicks here. No, we are talking about a deeply technical, hands-on level of developer engagement.
And that actually brings us to the central mystery for today's explainer. How exactly did a simple, tiny little run button, honestly, something you might barely even notice on a web page, lead directly to 100,000 developers integrating tools that literally power global commerce? I mean, it sounds almost too easy, right? Well, for all of us B2B tech leaders and developers tuning in, the journey they took to get to that button is absolutely fascinating. Section 1, the API Connective Bridge.
Think of APIs as the ultimate connective bridge. They span that massive gap between underlying complex platforms and the front ends that customers actually, interact with. Without this bridge, that seamless illusion of online shopping, it simply stops dead in its tracks. Literally every single time you buy something online, the whole shebang has to travel right across that API layer. And just think about the traffic on that bridge at any given second. We are talking about processing orders, securing payments, vaulting sensitive data, triggering payouts, managing ongoing subscriptions, generating invoices, and tracking orders. Honestly, the sheer volume and sophistication of the services PayPal pushes through its APIs is, it's pretty overwhelming.
Now, because they are a massive payments platform, the stakes are incredibly high. For them, the standard isn't just, oh, that's good enough. The standard is absolutely zero dropped transactions. The services they offer absolutely must be reliable and 100% error-free. There is quite literally zero room for a bad API call when real money and real global commerce are on the line. Which brings us to Section 2, reaching the developer universe. Here's the thing. The biggest challenge isn't necessarily building the tech itself. It's actually getting it into the hands of the people who build with it, getting those APIs, the SDKs, all that dense documentation out into the developer ecosystem, basically getting it out into the universe. And getting that message out is incredibly tough, even when you're a giant, universally recognized platform like PayPal. You could build the absolute best bridge in the world, but if developers can't find the on-ramp, it's completely useless. So the classic challenge here is complex API distribution filled with friction that just bogs developers down. And the solution? Well, PayPal turned to Postman. Postman provides this incredibly trusted, highly intuitive platform from an API development perspective. By putting their collection there, PayPal essentially guarantees they have a reliable, frictionless way to get their massive catalog out to the exact people who need it. Section 3. Time to first call. Now, the absolutely crucial concept here is a metric known as time to first call. Basically, this is the limiting amount of time a developer needs to actually start integrating with an API. Think about your own company or your own projects for a second. How long does it actually take a brand new developer to hunt down your docs, authenticate, write the boilerplate code, and finally, get a successful response back from your server? Is it an hour, a whole day, maybe a week? Well, for developers coming to Postman to use PayPal's APIs, that time to first call is under 1 minute. Just let that sink in for a second. Under 60 seconds from discovery to active, successful testing, that is literally faster than microwaving a frozen burrito. In the world of complex enterprise integrations, that level of speed is just jaw-dropping. And here is exactly how they make that submitted integration possible. It's an incredibly smooth user flow. Step 1, a developer is hanging out on the PayPal developer platform and sees a use case they need right there on the page. Step 2, they just click the Run in Postman button that's seamlessly integrated right there. Step 3, that button immediately lets them fork the collection and start testing. Boom, right away. There's no downloading massive SDKs, no wrestling with clunky configuration files. You just click, fork, and run. All right, Section 4, the power of 100,000. So this brings us right back to that massive hook from the beginning, 100,000 forks. That super simple Run in Postman button we just talked about, that is the exact mechanism that gets PayPal to 100,000 forks of their collection.
But, what does that actually mean for the business side of things? Let's translate that technical metric into real-world business impact. 100,000 different forks means 100,000 different developers actively interacting with their tools. And that translates into 100,000 different uses and downloads. Ultimately, that represents an absolutely massive amount of global commerce being powered. Reaching that incredible number of developers simply through the Postman platform is, for sure, a total game changer. Section 5. Influencing the buying decision. You see, platforms like Postman are the starting point. Sure, it begins with a developer just testing an API, but for a company like PayPal, that starting point is leading directly to long-term customers. Being able to reach people at the exact moment they are actively testing and building, that's a huge win. It's an incredible competitive advantage for securing those massive enterprise deals. In fact, the case study we're looking at puts it perfectly. Quote, developers today are influencing more and more buying decisions when it comes to what we purchase, what technologies we use, how we use them, and when we use them. End quote. This really hammers home a massive shift in the industry. The people down in the trenches testing the APIs are the exact same ones telling the executives which software to buy. If the developer has a frustrating time, the sale is basically lost. And that leads us to the final bottom line here. As PayPal continues to expand what they put out onto the Postman site, a very clear pattern emerges. If developers are using their APIs more frequently simply because it's easier and faster for them to integrate, then the choice for the business becomes completely obvious. Whoever that business is, whatever kind of commerce they're doing, if the integration was painless, they are absolutely going to choose PayPal. Which leaves us with a final, pretty critical question for you to ponder. If developers are the ones truly influencing the buying decisions in today's tech landscape, how easy are your APIs to integrate? Seriously, are you fighting friction, or are you offering a 1-minute time to first call? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to look at your own developer ecosystem with this incredible case study in mind. See you next time.